Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we're going to work on installing the Powermadd armor kit onto a set of Powermadd Sentinel handguards. I installed these on my 2020 Polaris Switchback Assault, which you can probably see in the background over there. And the handguards so far have been great, except for the problem is to get my brake where I feel comfortable with it, I have the handguard kind of positioned up a little bit, and it was letting in a lot of cold air right around the bottom of the outside edge, which was getting my fingertips cold. Wasn't too bad of an issue on the 30-degree days, but the 10-degree days, it was a big problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the kit. I've already done it to one of them here, so you can see the big difference. So I'm gonna go through and walk through the installation of this kit. All right, so your first step here, they want you to go ahead and remove the cover. I've got the LED kit in this one. It's kind of like I guess these have turned out to be a Powermadd catalog, because now I've got the handguard, the mirror, the LED, and the armor on it. So for the armor, well, let me back up a little bit. So the hardware kit it gives you for the armor to attach it are these plastic screws and corresponding nuts. So if you're running the LEDs, they want you to install the countersunk screws instead. So the first step is you're going to lay the armor on the actual handguard and figure out which of your honeycomb mesh, whatever here, which hole you're going to have to put the screws through. So it looks like this one and this one here. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then once these are pushed through, we're going to go through and put the LED cover back on. Okay, so now that we have our screws pushed through here, we got the armor back off, we can go ahead and reinstall the cover. Now if you had the regular non-LED cover, this wouldn't really be a concern, right? Because you could go ahead and snap this on at any time. But since the LED covers are held in with screws as well, you'll have to go ahead and do this step now. Now, the issue I ran into with the last one was this hole that we just put the screw through is where I had my wires ran through. So I'm gonna go ahead and run the wires through the hole next to it. Feed those through, and then we'll go ahead and snap the cover back in here. All right, so if that's snapped back in, we're gonna go ahead and reinstall the screws, or if you're doing this for the first time, install the screws that actually hold the LED cover in. So it's these microscopic Phillips heads that they have thread into the back of this just as extra security. And be careful not to strip those, because those are very small. It only has like 2 or 3 threads on it, so it would be really easy to try to strip this by turning the screw in too far. Okay, so now that next step's done, I'm going to route the wire right over the top here, so when it comes out on the sled, I can actually route it correctly back up the handguard mount and onto the sled. So now I'm going to go ahead and set the cover back onto it here, and we're going to have to drill 2 holes in it for the other 2 screw holes. So I'm going to push these through. Push those through the foam, and then go ahead and install the nuts on them at this time. And it tells you in the instructions, make sure you don't over tighten these. I really just tighten them with my fingers. They've sucked down pretty good, and I haven't seen any reason to actually put a tool on one of these. They are plastic. The last thing you want to do is strip one, and you also would be concerned, with the LED covers, because the screws are already captured in here now. of the screws spinning if you tried to suck them down too hard. All right, so now that that's on, it's time to go ahead and drill holes all the way through here. Now for this next part, they tell you to use an 1/8" pilot hole and then a 1/4" drill bit. I'm gonna go ahead and just drill the hole the way it sits. After I drilled the holes, there was a little bit of a burr on here, so I just took a fresh razor blade and cut that on. So then you're going to install the long screws through their freshly drilled holes now. These push in nice and tight. And I'll go ahead and install the nut on it. And you can just tighten this with your fingers as well, like the others. Okay, so now if those are snug, I have the mirrors on this. And because of that, it is in the way and pushing this out of the way. Now, I already trimmed this one. I'm not 100% a fan of how it turned out. So unfortunately, I gotta just trim this one the same way. But what I'm gonna do is just use a fresh razor blade here and start with cutting out the center around the bolt and spring, just so the handguard can sit, or the armor, the foam or whatever can sit flush against the handguard. So now we have a better spot to cut. Now, I don't like the look of this gap, but as you can see on this one here, had I just, there was no good way to cut this to the same contour as this. I mean, it would look all right straight on, but then it pulls back and has a huge gap here. So all I did was I just cut it on the lines inside of here. So fresh razor blade, one sharp cut through there. And then I'll flip this one over. And now I went straight across this edge here. And then finally, we're coming in this notch. Across this one. Complete our cut. All right, so there is the armor installation guide for your Powermadd Sentinel mirrors and handguards, sorry, with the mirrors and LED kits as well. So it's pretty much got everything going on here that they can have. So obviously this would be a lot simpler installation without the mirrors and without the LEDs. But other than cutting out around the mirrors, I really like how this turned out. You know, the mirrors, I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of them. A lot of times when we go riding, I'm the only one that has the pit gauge on my Polaris. So I end up leading, especially when we're trying to explore some new spots. And because of that, sometimes it's nice to be able to look behind and just see two sets of headlights without ever actually having to turn around, make sure everybody's with the group. So that's the final installation of the Powermadd Sentinel handguard armor on the Sentinel handguards. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully this new tripod worked out for your cinematic experience. Everybody have a good ride on the trail. I'll see you later.